One-time epicenter, New York City, a hopeful milestone. Two more Trump campaign staffers test positive after that Tulsa rally, at least 8 now infected. And as the president heads to Phoenix tomorrow, the stunning claim about killing the virus from the church hosting his event. Just hours until John Bolton's book hits shelves, his new warning about grave consequences for national security will House Democrats force him to testify. The massive show of solidarity at NASCAR after a disturbing discovery. The FBI investigating a noose left in Bubba Wallace's garage stall outside the race, Confederate flags flying after NASCAR banned them. Police under fire, mourners paying respects to Rayshard Brooks in Atlanta. A rise in sick calls after officers were charged in his death. Plus, the NYPD officer caught on camera using a banned chokehold. What's now happened? And the cutting-edge new screening for COVID-19. Our look at the first airport to roll it out in the U.S.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening, I'm Savannah Guthrie in for Lester, and tonight the coronavirus is making a disturbing comeback. 23 states reporting cases are up, in some dramatically. Experts say it's not just because of more testing, it's sick people in hospitals. And after crowded scenes like these unfolding from California to Texas and Florida, young people are increasingly in the crosshairs. We get the latest now on where the virus is spiking and the signs of rebirth in the nation's once hottest spot, New York City. NBC's Kerry Sanders leading us off.
Today, Florida broke an unwanted record, now with more than 100,000 cases of coronavirus. Doctors say in a state without uniform rules, including to wear masks, this was inevitable. But there's been a shift in who's getting sick. The average age now, 37 years old.
We're seeing a major shift in this direction with this large 20 to 30-year-old population, mostly asymptomatic.
Absent state rules, some Florida cities like Miami and Tampa now mandating masks.
Here in Immokalee, Florida, a farming community, 1 in 25 people recently tested positive for coronavirus, mostly migrant farm workers who are now headed north following the harvests.
North Carolina on edge tonight with a steady rise in cases, 870 now hospitalized.
Our numbers of hospitalized patients requiring oxygen, as well as those who are requiring life support, is rising. It's very overwhelming.
Nationwide, 23 states, nearly half the country, are seeing an increase in cases over the last 2 weeks. 8 of those states seeing a spike of 100% or more new cases. In Georgia, the largest group testing positive, now between the age of 18 and 29.
We're now beginning to see more of a younger population. And what that causes as a nation, as you can see, is our cases are going up, but our deaths are going down.
While in Texas, new mandates after a surge in hospitalizations over the weekend. NBC's Morgan Chesky is there.
In an effort to curb the recent spike in cases, mandatory mask policies are now popping up in Dallas and other cities. Meanwhile, officials have shut down at least a dozen overcrowded bars, partially blaming them for spreading the virus.
With rising cases in hospitals in Arizona, nurses from Colorado now heading there to help.
They traveled from Phoenix to Colorado to help us, and so when the need arose, it was kind of a no-brainer.
A public health balancing act where finding footing remains an indelicate science. Kerry Sanders, NBC News.
This is Gabe Gutierrez in New York, the one-time epicenter of the coronavirus, which today hit a major milestone. Phase 2 of reopening. Outdoor dining, retail stores, and barbershops are back.
For me, I'm ecstatic. I mean, I have cabin fever.
Nelsie Perez was among the early shoppers at Old Navy's flagship.
We've been waiting for this since the moment we locked the doors.
For some offices, seismic changes.
So as we're walking through right now, our temperatures being scanned.
Thermal scanners now flag employees with potentially high temperatures.
My temperature is 97.1 currently.
For more screening, Scott Reckler, the CEO of RXR Realty, showed us how elevators read key cards to know what floor you're going to, and employee arrival times are staggered to limit how crowded they get.
This elevator knows exactly where we're going. It knows where we're going, and it only allows 4 people. So this is how the workplace will look for the foreseeable future. We call this the new abnormal. This period between when we have a vaccine and when we have to work like this and coexist with the coronavirus.
At the start of the crisis, we visited Manhattan's Westway Diner. Since then, business has been brutal.
We had to let go temporarily all of our employees, and we had to shut down a business that's been here for over 30 years.
Today, Pete Daphno set up tables outside. Is this sustainable?
It's not sustainable at all. 4 tables aren't going to make a difference.
He wonders whether the state waited too long to reopen. Today, the governor defended the cautious approach.
Following the science works. It saved lives.
And he says he's now seriously considering restricting travel from other states like Florida that are seeing an uptick in COVID cases. Savannah?
Gabe, thank you.
And
Former
there it
National
is.
Security Advisor John Bolton is again unloading on the president today before the release of his new book. Meanwhile, there are new coronavirus concerns about the president's event in Arizona tomorrow. Here's NBC's Jeff Bennett.
Less than 24 hours before his book hits store shelves, John Bolton again taking aim at his former boss.
The biggest fear I have is that his policy making is so incoherent, so unfocused, so unstructured, so wrapped around his own personal political fortunes, that mistakes are being made that will have grave consequences for the national security of the United States.
Bolton also saying he won't vote for the president.
I'm not going to vote for him in November. Certainly not going to vote for Joe Biden either.
House Democrats say they're considering calling Bolton for new hearings while slamming him for refusing to testify without a subpoena during their impeachment proceedings.
To the length and degree that he indicts Donald Trump, he also indicts himself for cowardice and for greed.
President Trump hitting back at Bolton, calling his former national security advisor a wacko, grossly incompetent, and a liar. Meantime, the president is also facing fresh fallout from his weekend campaign rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma, for using a racial slur to describe the coronavirus crisis.
Has more names than any disease and incident. I can name Kung Flu, the Chinese virus.
Today, the Trump campaign said 2 additional staffers who worked on the Tulsa rally have tested positive for coronavirus, bringing the total number to at least 8. The president was asked about his event tomorrow at an Arizona megachurch.
We're always worried about safety. We want to get rid of this thing.
Meantime, leaders of that church, in an online video today, say they're using new technology they claim kills coronavirus.
And it kills 99.9% of COVID within 10 minutes. It's ionization of the air, and it takes particulates out, and COVID cannot live in that environment.
But medical experts say even if it worked, it would not prevent transmission through coughing or other means.
Be it ionization technology, whatever it is, if it's not directly between your face and the person standing next to you, which is why we really, recommend that people don't attend mass gatherings.
We reached out to the church for comment. So far, no response, but organizers say they're requiring face masks at tomorrow's event. Savannah?
All right.
Amen.
Thank you.